This is a very strategic acquisition for the company operationally. This is the only topic that I can find that has very, very strong bipartisan support. As we're screening opportunities for growth, that is absolutely at the top of the list, both geographical diversity and the client base.
Welcome to the front lines. I'm Lyndsay Malchuk. Now, there is a massive, often overlooked piece of the energy transition happening far from the spotlight. It's not about building something new. It's about cleaning up what's already been left behind. Zefiro Methane is stepping directly into that gap, turning stranded environmental liabilities into measurable, monetizable impact while scaling a business that sits right at the intersection of energy, carbon markets, and infrastructure. And joining me is Catherine Flax, someone who understands how to bridge capital markets thinking with real-world execution in a space that is quickly becoming impossible to ignore. Catherine, it's so great to have you on the show. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much. It's terrific to be here.
So let's go straight into the deal, because the Viking Well Service acquisition is structured with some real intent. Wow. So you're putting down $1.4 million, financing $2.9 million at 7% interest only out to 2027. That's not just opportunistic. I mean, that's strategic leverage right there. So here's the real question for you. Are you building this company to scale operationally, or are you actually engineered a capital structure that lets you aggressively roll up this fragmented market without overexposing your shareholders?
I think both can be true, and in this case, both are. This is a very strategic acquisition for the company operationally, but it's also very, very important that we be mindful of how we're structuring these opportunities to grow the business for the benefit of our shareholders. And as a shareholder myself, it's very important, but I also think that creating opportunities for the market. We're so grateful for the shareholders that we have. And we do see that this is just the beginning of a tremendous opportunity for growth.
Well, when I look at this, it's not just about buying assets either. It's about what those assets unlock immediately, which actually leads me into something, your recent news. You've announced this acquisition can generate $10 million in incremental annualized revenue almost right out of the gate. That's a bold number relative to the purchase price. So what does the market not understand about the economics of well decommissioning and methane abatement? I think I'm having a tongue twister there. That allows you also to really step in, acquire the assets like this, and extract that level of value so quickly.
So it is interesting to me how often I meet people who have never heard of this, that this issue that we're dealing with, which is methane emissions coming from end-of-life oil and gas wells, is a problem hidden in plain sight. And so we've built our company differently than most others who are even thinking about this, because of the integration of all of the different pieces of the services that are needed. That's pretty unusual in this space. It sounds easy to cap a well, but it's actually a pretty complex process. And we've built our process at Zefiro to be able to do the decommissioning, do the capping of the well, do the cementing, and basically being able to restore the land to its original place. And because we're able to do things differently, we're able to capture opportunities in a way that is profitable and effective. And we have the trust of our clients. It's very important to both the corporates as well as the governments who are contracting with us that they know that when this work is done, it's done properly and for good.
You touch on a very good thing there, and it really is about the lack of education out there. People just think this just happens. It's this ferry that comes along and that's that. But you really did touch on something very important. And, I'm going to flip over just a little bit here. We've seen all of this before. I mean, it's not just about the revenue that you're generating. There really is a big part that is about who you're working with too. And you touched a little bit on that there as well. And one of the most interesting pieces here that's really caught my attention is that these assets come with customers that don't overlap with your existing base. So in a sector where customer concentration can very quietly become a major risk, how intentional has your acquisition strategy been in diversifying revenue streams? And I'm going to push it a little bit further here. Are you quietly building one of the most defensible client portfolios in the entire space?
Absolutely, we are, and with great intent.
Okay.
And so, as we're screening opportunities for growth, that is absolutely at the top of the list, both geographical diversity and the client base. The corporate clients in this business can be quite sticky once they're with a vendor that they trust, that has a wonderful health and safety record, where the equipment is well maintained. All of the things that we really prioritize, we found that with our clients, once they're with us, they're with us for the long haul. And so as we look to grow the business, that's a priority. And so it is the new geographies, it is the new client base, but it's also making sure that the equipment that we're acquiring and the people have that same intent for quality of service and high quality equipment.
That makes sense. And it's really nice to hear that all of this is happening in a bit of a different way too. Now, Catherine, I want to zoom out just a little bit because this clearly doesn't stop with just the one acquisition. You're expanding into Michigan, Indiana, Illinois, and Iowa, and you've said this is the first of multiple acquisitions aimed at building the largest oil field decommissioning business in North America. That's a big ambition, so I'll ask this directly. What has to go right operationally, financially, and from a regulatory standpoint for Zefiro to actually dominate the space, not just participate in it?
Great question. And when you think about it, in the United States, there are 26 states where there are end-of-life oil and gas wells. Obviously, Canada as well has many, particularly in Western Canada. And so this acquisition is a big step into really migrating us into those new states, as you mentioned. The regulatory environment is really interesting in this space. This is the only topic that I can find that has very, very strong bipartisan support. It has the support on people who tend to be more left-leaning because we're cleaning up the environment, without a doubt. It has the support of more right-leaning people as well, because there's a very important business development aspect to this, as well as job creation. And when I talk about business development, what I mean there is having orphaned wells scattered around the country, estimated to be over 4 million in the United States, is very difficult to build infrastructure in the United States without remediating these wells.
Right.
And so this is where I think the regulatory environment is on our side, because everyone realizes that it's only for the best to get this all cleaned up. So that's really important. So I'm not terribly concerned about the future of the regulatory environment. I think it's on us to be smart about continuing to find the right acquisitions, find tremendous investors who want to grow with us. I think I'm very proud of the fact that with this recent capital raise that we did, it was for growth. We're not needing it for, to pay our bills as many earlier stage companies need to. This is because we want to take our investors along with us on this growth journey that we're on. And there's just tremendous upside.
One of the questions that I'm sure a lot of people are asking you, and maybe it's a very common question, but what makes it an orphan well? Like, why can't it just be reused, or why can't it be, give us some insights here.
Sure. It's a good question, because I think to the point earlier, this is not a topic that most people talk about. And so when you think about extracting oil or gas out of the ground, there's a point at which it's no longer economic to continue to, either the reservoir is depleted or it's just too difficult to get any more out. So what's happened in the United States anyway is the first wells were drilled in 1856.
Wow.
And between 1856 and 1960, there were no regulations governing how to decommission wells that had become depleted. And so you can imagine how many wells there are all over the place where people just basically left and just left them there, or the companies went bankrupt. There's a variety of reasons why, but they're really scattered all over the landscape. So what makes it orphaned is that there's no longer anyone in the chain of custody who is any more economically viable. So they've gone bankrupt, they've walked away, and the well just sits there.
Well, this is sort of where the story gets a little bit more interesting, because this isn't just about cleaning up old wells. This is really about building infrastructure around a problem that isn't going away, and you're actually turning it into a scalable revenue generating system. I have one more question for you. What's the biggest challenge that you're facing right now? And obviously, how are you navigating through that?
Yeah, it's a really, really good question. I would say that it probably is in the education of investors, and getting this front and center for people to understand not just the magnitude of the problem. I mean, my great great grandchildren and yours will still be dealing with this. I mean, that's just how big of a problem this is. But that also is what creates the opportunity. Helping people to understand that this business is not volatile. It doesn't go up and down with the price of oil or gas, as many, sort of oil field services companies do. But that there's a real trajectory of growth. And by the way, even though our objective is to be the largest end-of-life remediation company in North America, this is very much a global problem. We get calls all the time from Europe, from South America, from Asia, with the same problem. So I don't want to get ahead of our skis. We need to be the biggest in North America first, but this truly is a global problem.
I mean, yeah, there's so many more questions I can sit here and ask you, because I'm so intrigued in this, and I'm sure that there's a ton of the audience members that's going, ask this. So I definitely want to have you back and dive in a little bit deeper, because I think there is really a deeper level we could get into here. So thank you again for sitting with us, and I look forward to you coming back soon.
Thank you so much. I look forward to it too.
I've been speaking with Catherine Flax, CEO of Zefiro Methane, a company positioning itself at the center of methane abatement, carbon markets, and oilfield decommissioning at scale. If you're an investor, if you're not an investor, this is the kind of model that forces a different question. I'm going to say it here. Not whether the opportunity exists, because obviously it does, but who is actually going to consolidate it first. I'm Lyndsay Malchuk at the Market Frontlines. Be sure to subscribe to stay in the know with more stories just like this. We'll see you next time.